How can you make six figures as a UK software engineer? My name is Isaac, previous CTO of a funded startup, and I ran the checkout team at Pretty Little Thing. I want to preface this by saying not one size fits all, which I would have thought would be obvious, but just in case, some people have different opportunities at different stages of their career, and also the market fluctuates at different times, giving certain people certain advantages or disadvantages. Six figures does seem like this magical number that once you get it, everything's going to be gravy, but even if someone does have that kind of purchasing power or financial freedom, it doesn't guarantee they have the same time or location flexibility. They might be working balls to the walls all day for the money and then have no time to themselves, and they have to be somewhere they don't particularly like. So it's not the penultimate indicator of whether someone's successful or enjoys their life. Like, forget success, like, did they have a life that they like living? And money doesn't necessarily dictate that. The three ways I see people making money in tech falls into jobs, which is kind of the obvious one, or a startup, which is a type of business, and then a lifestyle business, which is, it's not quite like startups, which I will get to and expand on a little bit later. Okay, so jobs. This one is kind of interesting because the barrier of entry is probably the lowest and you kind of get paid the highest for your skill set the earliest, because you're working in a system that can kind of already leverage your skills, right? So if you're like a 8 out of 10 developer, you also happen to be working with a 7 out of 10 designer, 8 out of 10 project manager, you can really get a lot for your input, and that's why your salary reflects that. If you started working on your own, you're an 8 out of 10 developer, but then you're a shit designer, you're not a great project manager, you're not good at sales, it's very hard to get the 8 programming output you can deliver when everything around you is such a lower level. They're not necessarily the worst ones, but they are quite demanding in terms of time and often location. There's also less room to optimize your money because you're kind of fitting into a pre-existing mold. This predominantly I'm sort of talking about taxes, but I will expand on this later. Job salaries in the UK are not as high as other countries that have pockets such as like West Coast of America. You've got San Francisco where tax salaries are crazy. In England, it's not really paid that high, although industry specific things like fintech, you can get much higher salaries, which if you're looking for the big bucks is probably where you want to push yourself. Because roles are fairly limited and demands are kind of high, people that I know making six figures don't have too much time, they're working a lot. In software, to get this kind of money, you either need to be working at a larger firm, so some of like the fine companies which do have, London offices, or you need to be working more as like a project management in a managerial sort of role to make that kind of money. In my last role, I was slightly underpaid. I think realistically, it could have been the 80, 90K mark. I don't think I would have had time for side hustles, and I wouldn't have had time for both side hustles and the social life that I enjoy. Kind of depends on how the company's organized. Realistically, I would say it actually takes like 5 to 8 years, and they're busy years. So I was in industry at this point for I think 5 years when I got the role, and it would have maybe taken like 6, 7 to like mature and get that pay rise that I probably needed. That might sound a little bit discouraging to some people because I know they kind of want to get into tech and make the 6 figures from the jump, but these things do take time. Along the way, it's not like you're not making any money and then buying your 6 figures. You can work your way from like 40, 60. This is a marathon, we're not like athletes where mid-30s we're going to start physically declining and we can't compete anymore. We keep this shit for until we're 60, 70, so you can keep working, you can keep increasing your value, don't worry about it, you do have the time. The biggest downside, however, is that you get shafted by the UK tax system. I did a UK take-home tax calculator with 100K, and your take-home was 67, which is 33% gone. Not the worst, but you don't really have a lot of say around this. By the way, that was not including student finance, so you probably take home a little bit less. Next is startups. This one is crazy time demanding and super stressful. Sometimes it's not too location demanding though, depending on where you are, and initially it's normally not terribly financially rewarding. It's more of a longer term investment. Startup is where you take a business concept and you try and blitz scale it within a short amount of time. This is often why people take investment and payment, so they can cut a lot of the learning curves they would have to do by financing it and thus increasing speed, reinvesting everything into the company. The main objectives really are either to get to the point where you can go public or you can sell it. Going public technically is selling it. I don't really want to get into that, but it's essentially you're building something that you try and massively increase the value of, and then you get a big payout at the end. So at the beginning, there's a little bit of a pay cut that you take. The risk factor on this is crazy high because you can spend like 3 years, 4 years building something. You could sink a couple $100,000 into it. And if the value of the company goes to zero, there's no growth, nobody wants to buy it, you've kind of lost all your money, and your investment goes to zero. You do, however, keep all the experience and skills, which arguably I actually think is far more important than the money you make and the ability to sell. But that is a very important caveat. My experience was kind of like this. So I spent 2 years working on a startup. We had about 200K in funding. Location wise, it was super flexible. Time, I was busy a lot, but I did get to organize what I wanted because you're essentially working for yourself. So it was quite flexible. But it was very demanding, and the pay was low for what I was doing. But that's obviously to be expected. You're supposed to be. I ended up burning through my savings in the end because I'm originally from Manchester and I moved to London for the job. So it's like I was in a more expensive place, and then I took a bit of a pay cut. So but by the end of the 2 years, I didn't have a lot left in savings. I don't think I had anything left. Realistically, I could have managed that better, but that was just the situation I was in. That being said, the experience from that role, like the jobs I had been able to get afterwards and just the understanding that I could speak on, it was worth it. I'd do it again completely. The stars didn't align for us, but I know people who have had projects that it did work for them. They're making mid 6-figure salaries. They live in Dubai, and the shares that they have in the company are worth millions. They're probably on track to sell in the next 3 or so years, and the value's just going to keep going up. They could have a really big payout. The person I'm thinking of, now that his company's doing well, like his job has shifted more towards personal branding. He goes around the world, he gives talks, he networks with people, and that's kind of how the shift has been made. So now he's got a great degree of financial freedom. He's got location and time freedom because this is more or less what his job consists of. He also came from a great job, which was he was an engineer at Google, which makes it a lot easier to get funding from VCs. A lot of things did previously align for him before he made this leap, so it's not one size fits all, but this is an example of something I've seen. And then finally, after startups, you have lifestyle businesses. Now they are similar to startups, but you're not trying to blitz scale them as fast, and the structure is a lot different. It's named lifestyle because you run this business as a lifestyle. It fits into what you're already doing. It's not like a startup where you have to drop a lot of other things to make it work. You see a lot of digital nomads doing this. This can be like little widgets that they have online. People that have personal brands as like a solo entrepreneur, and they make these little things like AI profile picture generators, stuff like that. It's often quite trend based. If you can jump on a good trend and milk it for a bit, you can not only build your portfolio, you can also make some decent money doing it. There are people out there that make millions a year just because they have a bunch of small products that enough people are using, and they upsell and have a personal brand to match. But then another example of lifestyle business is like consultancy or contracting, which is more what I do at the moment. Ironically, this is probably one of the easier ones once you get it, but it's a very much an uphill battle to get in a position where you can do it. Contracting requires a lot of upfront experience. I think for me, it took 5+ years of actual industry experience, and I'd already been coding for 4 or 5 years before that as a hobbyist. Also, fortunately for me, I had startup experience, and I'd also worked at some reputable companies, which kind of helped me move the needle on making that transition. Building small products requires a lot of adjacent skills and personal brand building, and they're not the same as coding. You might think, oh, I'm a great coder, I can make great products. That doesn't guarantee people will care if you don't have the community building skill sets or marketing or sales. One of my close friends I have, he runs a lifestyle business, and when I say this guy works 2 to 3 hours a day, they're not crazy complicated hours. It's more strategic. It's me with employees, setting things up. It did take a lot of work of him doing very, very much hard, solid work for about a year, getting his head down. But then once he had the setup, it was much easier to organize and work with. That being said, business is business. When there are down periods, it does show. If something's going in the market and people aren't buying, it does change things, and he has to up his work rate. The salary isn't crazy, but the purchasing power is high because he owns the company and there's no one else really on the board. So I think in the last 2 years, they made 600,000. Although his salary isn't crazy high because it would affect how payroll runs and taxes him, he can use the company to do a lot of payment purchasing, which means he lives like someone making 6 figures. Me, myself, a contract, it's not really a lifestyle business. It's like a job with perks, but you work for yourself and you run your own business. So it's in between. As a contractor, you have your own business. So companies kind of hire you as a business to work. It's sort of like a 9 to 5 exchange that you give them. So it's like a time-based role, but I can do it from anywhere. I just sort of need the internet. Even though you actually get paid more than a full-time role, full-time members are kind of expected to have a higher mental buy-in. So they expect them to care more about the company because it's like an investment and you bring them on. Contractor, they don't really expect me to care too much. They kind of just want me to work when I'm here, and then when I'm gone, they don't really mind. So it's interesting that I actually feel like the output of a contract is a little bit lower than a full-timer, and you get paid a lot more. My day rate is normally 600 to 700. At the moment, I'm getting 650, which I think after tax works out to 10K a month. The nice thing about contracting as well is you don't have to do it for a full year. I think I work 6 month stints. Generally, I'll take a month or 2 in between, but realistically, I only have to work 6 months a year. That being said, contracting is actually really hard to scale from. So I'm actually making deliberate efforts to try and use this time to learn more about sales or marketing or upskill myself in different ways, because fundamentally, I'm still selling my time. With a startup, and if you have a lifestyle business where you kind of work with other people and leverage the group output that multiple people can add to, I'm not really doing that. I can't really sell other people's time as a contractor. You kind of can, but it's also sort of illegal and very difficult. So I'm not even bothering. In conclusion, those are the three main ways that I see people make money, and explain a little bit about how I myself make money. I hope I've also helped illuminate different areas of the six-figure conversation, because I think a lot of people just talk about the money, but I do think a lot of it is also to do with job satisfaction and what kind of time or flexibility you have and how that benefits your lifestyle specifically. Fundamentally, tech is just a job, and it's how you use it that gives you the best ROI. If you have adjacent skill sets like sales or marketing things so you can build your own service, that's fantastic. If not, and you're great with your soft skills and you can work with colleagues, that's also a great way to make money in an easier fashion. It really is how you use it. It's not the thing. This is just my personal experience, but I hope it is of use to someone out there. If you know someone else is trying to get into tech, or considering really what the options are later on, please send them this video so they can make a more informed decision. Thanks, guys.